This weekend, the Sports Car Club of America returns to America's National Park of Speed, Road America. Across 2 grueling days of competition, 23 champions will be crowned in an event unique in motorsports. For over 400 drivers, a season's toil culminates in this single event with the chance to earn a coveted gold medal and the title of national champion in the 62nd edition of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Sunoco. Day 2 of Hagerty Race Days at the 62nd Annual Sports Car Club of America National Championship Runoffs, presented by Sunoco. Welcome to live coverage brought to you by Mazda. Ryan Marine joining you here in the broadcast booth. We get ready to go for what should be a thrilling Formula Enterprises championship race here at America's National Park of Speed. Qualifying super close, as we saw the top 2 separated by just 14 thousandths of a second. And with a good chunk of the field in about the 1 second bracket, it should make for an exciting race today to settle the 2025 National Championship. Larry McLeod joins me in the booth. We'll have Hayward Wagner down on the pit lane in just a moment. But Larry, your excitement level as we get ready for the final open wheel class of the weekend.
I love open wheel racing. I think it's fantastic. We've seen some great races already. The FE coming up. We've seen FC, FF, the Vs, of course. We've seen so much excitement around them. These are absolutely spec cars, and the racing is always as close as you'd expect any spec class to be.
Yeah, it should be a ton of fun. Let's get some late developing stories from down on the grid with Hayward.
Well, guys, we're about to see FE2 go out on track, and last year the big issue was these cars were overheating. And if you take a look at Kurt Resitano's T2 car that just finished that's race, there's a couple of leaves gathering up on the grill of that car, but look how much area that car has to manage air getting into the radiator. For these FE2 cars, they have this much area to get the air into the radiator. So what they have done is pulled the screens out of the radiators, the things that's supposed to protect the radiator. They took the screens out so that the leaves don't get caught on the screen, and they're hoping that they break down in there a little bit better. Frank has another strategy to deal with the leaves, however. His strategy is to lead the whole race and not drive into any leaves that somebody else kicked up.
Always a good strategy to get out front and stay out front. We'll see if Franklin Futrell, the pole sitter, can do exactly that. And that is a great point. Going back to last year, several front-running cars dropped by the wayside.
Yeah.
This isn't a class where usually you think about high attrition, but last year that was not the case.
Yeah, the leaves made the biggest difference. We talked about it the whole race because one after another after another. Now, Hayward said the strategy to stay out front. What I actually found was the lead car scoops him up. The trailing car doesn't usually collect him as much, so we'll see if that holds true. We saw races this morning, especially going into Canada. Leaves were blowing around as the wind circulates down there in the valley. We'll see if these cars come into a leaf pile on the opening lap.
Mentioned that Franklin Futrell did win the Tire Rack Pole Award. It's his 3rd career pole at the Runoffs, but the first in this class. He's super experienced, but most of that comes in the SRF categories over the years where he's a multi-time national champion, but putting the focus exclusively on FE2 this year.
Yeah, said he only really had a chance to do one class this year. It's going to be the FE2. He's hoping to maybe do double dipping next year and get back into that spec Ford, but I'm sure he'd like to walk away with a gold medal in this one before jumping into the other.
Hey, always helps to win a title, and there's some perks that come along with that make it a bit more financially viable, perhaps, to run in multiple classes at this event next year. Let's talk about the venue. This is America's National Park of Speed. Road America, what a place. 14 turns, 4 miles, and a great open-wheel racing pedigree. This is a real fun challenge for the open-wheel classes here this weekend, too.
It's big, it's fast, it's wide, and it's fast. And did I say it's fast? They're going to go into turn 1, probably 2 wide, 3 wide. Some of these cars may even try to use that extended apron like we saw some of the Spec Miatas and the SMX cars using. I don't know if they can use them in 13 laps, but they may try to use that. They'll run all the way down to turn 3, hopefully single file down the back straight as they go to the heavy braking zone at 5. Now you get to the fun part with an aero car through 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, all the twisty bits of this track. And then once they get into that carousel, hopefully it's fast. We'll talk in a bit about how the wind may change things in carousel or even the kink, that famous kink here at Road America. That'll take us all the way up into Canada at turn 12. One of the best passing zones, certainly on the last lap. That's the place to do it at 12. And then they'll make one run around the Bill Mitchell bend at 13 and then turn 14. You get a good shot after 14 going up that Road America straight underneath that brand new bridge. Ridge.
There is such a rich history of motorsport in this part of the world. It all started with amateur level sports car racing through the country roads and through the streets of the village of Elkhart Lake, but ultimately the cars outgrew that venue, and Cliff Tufte, a local businessman, dreamed up this place. Road America helped to design the course as well, and I'll tell you what, he designed a classic for $75,000 in upfront money. He created a place that we all revere, and anyone who's ever been here just can't wait to come back the next time. It is such a cool place to come.
One of my favorite places to be any time of the year, in the middle of the summer, here in the fall. This place is gorgeous. They've got a kart track, there's the racetrack, and yes, it is a park. You can go play Frisbee golf, you can go take your mountain bike through the woods. This place is amazing.
Talk about all the different types of racing that have been here. The first pro race ever held at this racetrack was actually a NASCAR Grand National race. It was won by Paul Goldsmith in a Jaguar, believe it or not. One of the few foreign cars to ever win a NASCAR Now Cup Series race. That was all the way back in 1956. Very different types of cars about to take to the track, though, here as we get ready for the FE2 National Championship race. We'll step aside when we come back. The starting grid and the green flag in the FE2 title race here at Road America.
We're Tire Rack. We test tires to provide you with truth, transparency, and unbiased recommendations. We stock over 1 million tires to ensure we have what you need. We're Tire Rack. We work hard to ship your tires fast and free. We offer convenient installation options to keep you moving forward. We do all this for one reason. Tires matter. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Choose joy. Choose the road. Choose your people. Choose your shot. Take it. Choose to get in there. Even better, get out there. That's it. Way out there. Choose your calling. Choose to really care. Choose to go for it. Just choose. We craft cars for those who choose to do more than simply move.
I wake up.
My name is Danny Richardson.
Eileen Blondo.
I'm Ryan Cheek,
I'm Connor Zilish.
I'm from the San Francisco region.
part of the Central Carolina region of SCCA.
It just fosters the best, not only in me, but in the cars that I could bring.
I grew up around this amazing community that created me for who I am today.
I belong to the SCCA.
I belong to the SCCA.
I belong to the SCCA.
I belong to the SCCA because every time I come to an event, I feel like I'm at home.
Okay, track day checklist. Let's go. You got your gloves, your helmet, water, snacks, sunscreen, your car is prepped and ready to go. Oof, forgot your track day insurance, didn't you? If you want to be covered for the whole value of your car, you need high-performance driver education coverage through Hagerty. We'll get you a policy for track days, time trials, and more in less time than it took you to apply that sunscreen. Hagerty, let's drive together.
Moments away from the FE2 championship race getting underway. Cars out on track now on the formation lap. After a full week of preparation and 2 days of qualifying, this is how they'll line up. Tire Rack pole award to Franklin Futrell by just 14 thousandths of a second ahead of John Buffamonte. Then it's Steve Whitston and Eric Wisniewski. They start third and fourth. Adam Jennerjohn starting in fifth next to Dean Opperman. Paul Schneider starting in 7th place today. And then League City, Texas' Whitney Strickland starting P8. Tom Burt from the Pacific Northwest shares the 5th row with Robert Vanman. Sam Harrington set to start out back. Actually, we've seen some changes to the lineup as Tom Burt, as you can see now, scheduled to go from the back row. That's the 11-car field ready to take part in this race. These are all the same chassis, same power plans, everybody working from the same playbook. And Franklin Futrell was the quickest of the bunch. Interestingly, though, Larry, that even though it was a 2-day qualifying format, everyone in this class set their fastest lap on the first day.
Yeah, better conditions. As we got later in the day, especially late today on Friday, the track starts to get a little bit too greasy, and I think that's what they found. The temps were up, so now the engines aren't pulling as strong down these long straightaways. So day one was definitely the day to lay your qualifying time in almost all classes that ran in the afternoon, but certainly here in FE2.
And it wasn't close. I mean, you look down the list, everyone was about a second and a half slower on day 2 than they were on day 1, which tells you how condition sensitive these cars can be, but everyone's in the same conditions here. We do see those leaves on the side of the racetrack, and to reiterate, that was a topic of conversation 1 year ago, but as Hayward mentioned, down on the grid in the pre-race, a lot of effort has gone into trying to prevent that from being a problem here this time around. So now everyone tugs on those belts as they get into 2x2 alignment, lights off on the safety car, and very, very soon we'll be turning them loose. We've talked about the pole sitter, Larry. Who else do you have your eye on, though?
Well, I like folks like Steve Winston, who won the Formula V class a year ago at this track. He's always in the mix there in the Vs, knows how to manage traffic should have come to it. You start looking down the order, and, you got Eric Wisniewski, pretty quick, young kid, only 17, coming into this thing, was second last year, starting the grid on the outside of row 2, certainly one to look for.
Steve Winston, you mentioned him, reigning champion, and he will roll off from the inside of the second row, certainly in a strong position to contend once again. The top 3 were separated by less than a tenth and a half in qualifying. Then you had a good little middle pack as well that were all in the same zip code, and a couple of others further back that should be fighting each other all race long. Shaping up to be a fascinating one. 13 laps to settle the national championship. A season's worth of effort has been poured into qualifying for this event and now going for the title. Here comes the field, up the hill, that white and pink car of Franklin Futrell. That's the pole sitter approaching the acceleration zone and now starts to go. There's the green flag. What a great getaway by the pole man. Definitely caught Buffalante out. Wisniewski looks like could be on the attack. Winston as well. Side by side there for second and third. Fourth place as well up for grabs, but it's all happening behind Franklin Futrell, who has sprinted away. Everyone else looking for the scraps behind him.
Yeah, great start for Futrell. Really did kind of catch everyone napping there. I don't know what got him other than a nice free run through turn 1, because I think they're all going to be there by the time they get down to 5, with Wisniewski and Buffalante now lined up behind Futrell.
Settled in nicely. Buffalante was able to hold on to the second spot in that powder blue car, but it is all Franklin Futrell out in front, multi-time SRF champion, looking for the title here in FE2. Whoa, late lunge and just barely getting that car wound up in time was Robert Vanman. That was really tight down at the bottom of the hill in turn 5.
That's Bull, the Gold Tires opening lap of this race, but managed to hold it together. I'm sure Tom Burke's glad he did.
Yeah, no question. We are too, and we continue on. Dean Opperman looking aggressive a moment ago. Everybody back to single file, taking a deep breath here. They survive the first few corners, which are always the most perilous, and now you settle into your racing rhythm as best as you can. Futrell with the best opening sector of the lap. He's starting to pull a bit of a gap, but the rest are in hot pursuit and not willing to let him get away. How draft sensitive is this class compared to some of the other open wheel classes we've already seen?
These wings are not the strongest wings. They do probably handle a little bit more like an FF out there. So yes, the draft matters. If anything, the wings just give you a little bit bigger pocket of air behind them. So they do race very close. You don't see a lot of aero issues when you try to run side by side. And here's an example of it as the second and third place Buffalante Wisniewski now nose to tail.
Yeah, Wisniewski had a sniff to the inside, but Buffalante able to fend off the challenge for the moment. Winston's dropped back a bit from this top 3. Ooh, lock up with the right front. Tires not quite up to temperature just yet, but Buffalante able to continue on.
Yeah, their tires, though, I mean, they're temperature dependent. Obviously, you got to get some heat in them. We watched them in qualifying. It's like that third lap's kind of the sweet spot, fourth lap, and they'll continue to build heat. It is going to take them a lap or two to really get to where they want. I think you're going to see that with those lockups and things. And some drivers get more confident as they get more heat in the car.
After a lap, Futrell leads by half a second, 2/10 further back to Wisniewski, and then you go back about 8/10 of a second to find Winston. Battle here to the inside. It's Opperman in the 27, scrapping it out, I think, with Whitney Strickland. Really close stuff. These three are tied together as if with a tether, but it's the 27 of Opperman at the head of the pack.
Yeah, that's Strickland in that bright red FE2 there at the tail of that threesome, and he's just having a good time battling it out with these younger drivers.
Yeah, Vanben, I think the other one in that particular fracas.
Not one of the younger drivers is Vanben. In fact, he might be the oldest in the field there at 70 years young. That's right, it's Tom Burt that's the 70 Vanben. I think I've got an age on Vanben, but we'll have to look that one up.
See if we can get to the bottom of it. I don't think I do either, for what it's worth. Suppose it doesn't matter. The car doesn't know the difference. It's about how you pedal these things, and it has to be a ton of fun piloting one of these race cars around a track like Road America. Futrell's lead, to my eye at least, starting to shrink just slightly as Buccamonte takes a more aggressive approach to the entrance of the carousel, drifts out wider on exit, whereas Futrell took the opposite approach, but doesn't seem to favor one over the other to any great effect. Wisniewski settling in that beautiful dark blue livery behind the rear wing of Buccamonte. He made a furtive challenge down to the corner on the last lap, not close enough to make a move this time.
Wisniewski and Buccamonte, as we're talking about the age of drivers, they are both 17 years young in this field. Just a couple of youngins out there fighting now in that second and third spot. With Wisniewski, I was told from his teammate, Whitney Strickland, says Wisniewski is the magic man. In fact, he's got that written on the side of the car there. So he's expected to work that magic here in the battle with Buccamonte and Futrell.
Front runners across the line to complete the second racing lap. Futrell lowers the mark a little bit further at a 2:14.5, but it's actually Steve Whitston who's the quickest on the racetrack. Topped him by just about a tenth, 2:14.462. Quickest lap of the race thus far belongs to the fourth place man. Has the advantage of the tow, of course, with 3 cars out in front of him. Sounds like we might be seeing a full course yellow before too much longer.
Yep.
And there we go. Safety vehicle out on the circuit now. Might be Tom Burt. And that's in strife, who did not come around to complete the first lap. It could be Dean Opperman as well.
Down in turn 1, perhaps? I couldn't quite tell where the Canada quarter we're hearing. Okay.
Try and get to the bottom of just who it was, but the end result is, for the first time in this 2025 championship race, it is a full course yellow. Whatever the car involved was, the report is it just pulled off to the side of the road, so an apparent mechanical issue or something of that description.
It may be the 27 of Opperman that's down there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure we saw Burt take the start of this race, not credited with even completing the first sector, so Opperman is the only other one that we're missing, having completed just one racing lap. And in fact, was most recently shown passing through Sector 2 and into Sector 3. That's where you find Canada Corner, so that all starts to add up. And I'm afraid it is not good news for the Illinois native. Well, Futrell has had his lead disappear.
Oh, there he is. Looks like he's going again. That is Dean Opperman there in the 27.
Okay. Thought we saw the driver out of the car, but maybe he is back in.
Huh.
Listening to see if I
maybe heading to pit in anyway.
Sure. Well, that certainly speeds the cleanup up. If the car can make it back to the pits on its own. And confirming my theory that we never saw Tom Burt. We only have 9 cars in this train here, so.
I had mentioned Tom's name earlier. I saw the orange and blue car out there. Tom's a little more yellow and blue. Well, that car actually that is on the track, that is Paul Schneider, who's there running in that 6th spot in this group. And I talked to him before the race. He hadn't raced since the spring, didn't participate in any of the practice stuff, and threw a setup on the car here for qualifying days. It says it's good enough. A little bit distracted, though. He was watching on video his daughter's softball game about an hour ago to kind of keep up with what the kids and family are doing. Can't be there in person, but somebody had a great video. Probably 2 great announcers doing that, calling that softball game. So, yeah, he was able to do that and then had to jump in the car, put the helmet on, and do his own race.
Now tough here for Opperman, who makes the right-handed turn back to the paddock and seemingly is done for the day. But there's no more cleanup that needs to be done, which means we're set to restart this race in just a few moments. Here comes Futrell now, who has led since the drop of the green, the Tire Rack Pole Award winner, with the field in tow. He had a great initial start, you'll recall, and it's a similar situation on the restart too. When he gets to the restart zone, it's up to the leader to set the pace, set the tempo, and everyone else reacts to the leader's move. Not exactly a straight line here. I'm kind of curious what's going on back in about 6th and 7th in line, but at the front, Futrell with another good jump. Bufamonte immediately comes under attack from Wisniewski, who peeks to the outside now, and I think we'll have a fight for second place before we get to turn number 1. Indeed we do, side by side. Oh, and a little bit of touch, wheel to wheel, but both emerge on the other side. However, second place has changed hands and wing damage to the erstwhile second place car.
Yeah, Bufamonte there, that left front piece of the wing. It doesn't look like it's moving now, but it certainly has some damage. That's going to hurt a straight line speed, if nothing else. And now he's under attack from Steve Whitston in the white and red car there behind him.
Well, we know there's good pace in Whitston's car. He had the fastest lap of the race prior to the yellow. Here he comes now, trying to size up Bufamonte with that damaged front wing. Another late lunge coming from deeper in the pack. That's car 1 of Adam Jennerjohn. Somehow able to avoid any contact. It continues on, although now maybe under attack himself. That's car 73 entering the picture. Paul Schneider, who you were speaking about a moment ago.
Yeah, Schneider now into the groove here. Is everyone different braking points on that restart for sure, but I'll keep an eye there on the Bufamonte front end to see if that bothers him at all. But also, it looks like he did collect a few of the leaves there when they were under yellow, so let's keep an eye on the temperatures on these cars.
Adam Jennerjohn looking pretty aggressive here in the early going. Part of a multi-generational family here at the Runoffs. Father Chris raced earlier in the weekend. He's part of this train here. Oh, that was a really high-risk look to maybe go side by side through the kink, but they elect not to do it. However, that then backs everybody up, causes a huge amount of congestion, and that continues now, roaring down into Canada Corner.
That's Strickland in the red car there, now up in second in this train. And he came back from about 4th or 5th as they drafted through, because he was the only one that didn't have to check up in Canada. Everybody else did.
Whitston is through, as is Strickland, who you mentioned a moment ago. Looked like Jennerjohn was able to get the jump there on Bufamonte, who has not had a good lap since picking up that damage, which we'll look at this again. It's the blue car of Wisniewski sweeping across the bow, and just that little bit of contact right rear of Wisniewski into the front wing of Bufamonte.
Bufamonte definitely slower at this point, struggling in the straight line speed as the front 3 start to pull away there. That's Whitston. It should be Strickland, the top 2 in that front group.
Now what this has done is allowed Futrell and Wisniewski to disappear. This group got hung up in that hard-in-your-throat moment through the kink on the previous lap, and now needs to work together if they're going to have any hope of running down this pair that sits comfortably 1-2. Futrell out in front, Wisniewski giving chase. Not much between the two as far as lap times are concerned.
No, super tight there right now. Wisniewski right on the tail of Futrell. They've got a pretty good gap, almost 5 seconds before you get to Steve Whitston and Whitney Strickland running 3rd and 4th.
Last time we saw Franklin in one of these FE2 races at the Runoffs, that was back in 2023, finished runner-up at VIR. Had to miss the race last year, had every intention of being here, but like so many was affected by Hurricane Helene and went through the southeast of the United States and affected his home of Augusta, Georgia. And right as he was about to head on up here to Elkhart Lake, had to focus on more important things, which I'm sure was difficult for a lot of reasons, but great to have Franklin back at the Runoffs this year, going for yet another gold medal.
More draft passing going on here as they head down towards Canada. This time it looks like Schneider and Strickland.
73 to the inside. That is Schneider. Forces Strickland out wide over those really bumpy curbs at the exit of Canada Corner. Position swaps around. Schneider is through. Oh, and a spin coming off of 14. That is Whitston. Wow. He was up at the front of this train and had been turning some really good sector times prior to that spin on this lap, and that drops him well out of contention, and it promotes Jennerjohn to a provisional 3rd place.
I wonder if he just caught a little bit of the dirt at the exit there at 14, and it bounces the car around so much. They just bottom out with such a low ground clearance, and that just spun him to the inside, but we're just going to keep an eye on that. Maybe we'll even get a replay here.
Jennerjohn 3rd now. Let's look at this again. Caught the tail end of it, but that telltale dust cloud tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, he may have dropped both tires there on the outside of 14. These cars just can't handle that much of a bounce. They bottom out, next thing you know, you're facing the wrong way.
It's dropped him all the way down to 9th. Took him a little while to get going again. 24 seconds behind the race leader. That's 13 seconds behind the next car in the class. So without another safety car intervention, could really spell trouble for one of our assumed front runners in the class, Steve Whitston.
This is turning into a very good battle for the 3rd step on the podium now, with Jennerjohn, Snyder, and Strickland all running together as they approach turn 8, and then they'll go around the carousel at 9. I was talking to these guys a few hours ago about the wind direction. So we got a good little fight here between Vanman and Buffamonte now for the, looks like for the 6th spot. But talking to them about the carousel, the wind blows across, and you get to about halfway point in the carousel, right about here, and suddenly the wind gets to your back, and if you watch how squirrely they get in the second half of the carousel, that goes from a wind in your face to a wind in your back, which gets a little crazy in a car like this.
And it is a blustery day today. It should be noted. Of the days I've been on site, I've been here since Wednesday, I'd say this is the most that the wind has played a factor just in my time walking around outside. With Buffamonte, who looked like an early contender, dealing with that wing damage, and it's left him really vulnerable. Lost another spot there down into Canada Corner. Vanman around the outside picks up the position. That is 6th and 7th swapping hands, and Sam Harrington will be next to draw a bead.
The biggest issue there for him is the difference in front loads. You go under braking and you're having trouble where left side to right side, they want it, now you're trying to lock up that left front, and it just can't get a clean braking. That's what you saw there going into Canada, and I wonder if he's struggling with that.
Seems sensible to me. I'm prepared to go with it, although he's got a good jump, doesn't he, coming out of turn 14, and really
no problem there.
Throws it into turn 1 to get that spot back. That is awesome.
Love being made a liar of. It's so good.
Not the position I'm sure he thought he was going to be racing for, but still has a fight on his hands, and it's not over yet. Rest of that group gets a pretty good jump out of turn 3 under the Sargento Bridge. With turn 5 looming, great passing opportunity. What will Buffamonte do in here? Tries to cover off the inside. How about that lunge? Coming from a long way back, Sam Harrington gets alongside, and it's not done just yet. Up to turn 6 now, and wisely backs out of it. Good little battle pack. We previewed it at the start. And there's a bunch of little clusters of cars with really similar pace. Another late lunge, and this time it's Vanman back to the inside. Buffamonte tries to fight back. Whoa, takes a peek at the entrance to the carousel, but can't make it stick. This time, maybe, just maybe, Vanman can make good his escape. Here we go into the kink. Not a great idea, typically, and Sam Harrington is well aware of this. Instead, tries to get the run coming out of the kink and down in Canada Corner. Make the move down there.
Well, here comes that move.
Hard on the brakes, gets alongside, and now gets ahead of the ailing Buffamonte, who's fighting on gamely despite that front wing damage sustained on the restart. No. Oh, wow.
That's Vanman.
Yep.
A little bit the Venusia there through Bill Mitchell Bend. Seems to have gotten the car through it, but that almost became disastrous. Big curb at the exit.
Whoa.
Wow. That'll be on the highlight reel.
And at least 3 of the wheels popped up in the air there. Might have been all 4 for a brief moment. Now here we go again. Bufamonte so strong down the front straightaway, able to blitz around the outside and get the position back from Harrington. But then it does seem like in some of this tighter stuff that he's had a deficit to those he's racing with, and they've been able to take advantage in previous laps. All of this happening in front of Steve Whitston, by the way, who's running 2:14s at the moment. This group is running 2:19s, so it won't be long and he'll be there trying to recover a couple of positions after his unfortunate spin. Bufamonte trying again.
Almost defensive for Van, but I think he realized it was going to be too much. And Harrington just sort of sitting back and seeing if there's any room to make it 3 wide, and there's not.
There is Whitston starting to enter the picture. There he is, just at the bottom of the shot. We got a brief glimpse of his roll hoop. Finished just off the podium in Formula V earlier this weekend, P4, in a race that was dominated in some respects by Whitstons. No shortage of them in the field. Conveniently for us, only one to try and keep track of in this race. You know, we love the family aspect of it. It can be a bit overwhelming at times, trying to keep everybody straight.
And now the rest of the family can just sit back and watch Steve do his thing. I'm sure they're all sitting on the edge of their seat wondering if he's going to get back into this fight. And it looks like he is, as Bufamonte now has lost touch with Harrington out front. Harrington made a dive move at 8. Bufamonte not able to keep up through the kink. And Whitston now thinking he's reeling in Bufamonte.
Steve from the Milwaukee region of the SCCA, racing on home soil. Coming into this Runoffs, had 7 previous starts. Mentioned that he was in Formula V earlier in the weekend. One previous national championship. Of course, that was right here last year in the V's.
Remember, this is the battle for 6th. This isn't the podium, but this racing is just as good as anything else we're going to find this week.
Look at the speed Whitston's able to carry through turn 1. He'll know, presumably, having been told on the radio, the car in front of him is wounded, so he'll take his time. Fighting for 8th position after an off-track moment out of turn 14. But great speed in that car, and he's got a chance to salvage a halfway decent result if he can get through this pack. Here we go again. This is awesome. Harrington and Vanman duking it out. 6th and 7th up for grabs there. Bufamonte trying to defend from Whitston now, top of the hill.
Whitston sent it into 5, couldn't quite hold it. Let Bufamonte get on by again. Now as they head to 7 though, I think. Yep, looks like, yeah, that definitely was then Whitston able to hold through 7, and that's the advantage now the car's got at that higher speed corner.
Won't be long, and Whitston will start to insert himself into this conversation between Vanman and Harrington. Harrington with the advantage for the moment, black and blue car. Trailing behind is Vanman in some of those traditional Mazda colors. Really sharp looking paint scheme there. And Whitston closing in with each passing lap. Somehow we're already working lap 9 of this race. Time flies when you're having fun. It will be just 4 to go when the field crosses the start-finish line next time by, with Franklin Futrell still leading by about a second. But Wisniewski is keeping tabs on him, not letting him get away, all while our eyes are fixed on this battle deeper in the field.
Harrington a little bit rough there to come to the exit of Canada, leaving Vanman and Whitston a chance to maybe get a run, and here they are. Don't be surprised if they're nearly 3 wide, or minimum 2 wide with a spectator going into 1.
Here comes Whitston with the double toe. White and red car peeking to the outside now, pulling alongside of Vanman. trying to take away 7th position, and he'll clear him even before the break zone for turn 1. Great run out of the final corner, great use of the draft. And next in the crosshairs is Sam Harrington. This is for 6th. All happening behind Whitney Strickland, who's about 13 seconds ahead of this battle, running good lap times in the 2:16. So even with his pace, I don't think Winston has enough laps to run him down.
No, not with the fight these three are putting up as well, because it's just going to be slowing them down, but it is such a good battle.
Didn't get out of turn 5 very well that time.
2 laps in a row he struggled there. This time it's alongside Vanman. The last time it was against Buffamante. And Winston able to get it through 6, but a bit of a struggle there at 5.
Really good respect showed, though, by the two, giving each other plenty of racing room at the top of turn 6. Now Winston can just focus in, looking his way through the corner here at the carousel. Quarter's so long, it actually is 2 turns, technically, on the track map. Now the kink, crucial corner to set up a passing opportunity. Down at Canada corner, turn 12. 6th, 7th, and 8th blasting through the shot. Winston again closes in, but not on the precipice yet. Can't poke out a line.
Harrington, a good run through the kink. Canada, though, just a little bit more off the apex than what you saw Winston do. Winston a little more precise, and it carries all the way through Bill Mitchell right up here to 14, and that allows him to be closer, certainly closer than he's been to anybody else here going on the front straight. Winston might even be by before we get the stripe.
This is very reminiscent of what he did 1 lap ago to Vanman. Pulls alongside, this time to the inside. Side by side at the stripe. Position does change hands, but the fight isn't over quite yet. Now it is. Or is it? As a counterattack here from Harrington. But Winston is clear and through to 6th place with 3 laps to go. And a lot of work to do if he's going to run down P5.
So good in the high-speed corners. You saw it through 6 before. Now you're seeing it through 1 and 3. Winston's car set up very well for the high-speed corners. But speaking of high speed, Futrell and Wisniewski have been battling these low 213s lap after lap after lap. I keep looking over and I'm seeing purples with these guys 10 laps in. You can see it's 1.3 seconds, about 10, 12 car lengths or something like that. But Futrell can't quite shake Wisniewski no matter what he does.
No, Wisniewski was actually the quicker of the 2 last lap, but only marginally, 21 thousandths of a second to be precise. Wisniewski fastest driver on track that last lap, and the gap has been 1.2 to 1.5 seconds really the entire time we were watching that battle further down the field. Then it's Jennerjohn running a somewhat distant 3rd, but Paul Schneider is keeping tabs on him and very much could enter the conversation for that final medal spot as they run.
Yeah, Schneider is the teammate to Franklin Futrell. In fact, he's the one that I had said hadn't actually driven that much this season, did Schneider, and not a lot of practice this week, but he was thinking that they kind of threw the kitchen sink in the setup, thought they had something to work, and he might be thinking 11 laps in, this setup is working really well. As the last time by, he had picked up a half a second on Jennerjohn, and this time, I think he found the other half a second that he needed, as they're going to be nose to tail going into 1.
Schneider, a veteran of 14 previous runoff starts, best finish of 3rd on a few occasions, 3 in fact, and he's looking for 3rd here. Jinx to the outside, gets wheel to wheel, side by side with Jennerjohn, and has the move made through turn 1.
A good move, definitely there for Schneider to get as much draft as he could and to pop on out. And then good for Jennerjohn to just sort of concede that position instead of sticking the nose down the inside. He knows that with these cars, you can battle on the next straightaway. You don't have to win it and lose it in 1 corner.
Oh, and car headed to the pit lane. It's the 88 of Vanman, yeah, who was in that battle we'd been watching. Car did have an off, if you recall. So maybe there's something residual from that.
yeah, talking to these guys, they figure they can use a little curb if they need to sometimes, but they do tend to not handle some of the heavier bumps too much. They are still a Formula Car open wheel, and yeah, the big ride that he had through Bill Mitchell might have actually snapped or bent something.
Jenner John back to fourth. Remember, he is the reigning champion in this class. He was there to pick up the pieces when others had issues late in the going a year ago. That's not to understate his pace. He was quick too and had the perfect combination of speed and reliability. This year, maybe not quite the outright pace of the top two, but very much in contention for another podium. Having just lost that third spot a few moments ago, but not letting Schneider get away. Time running out, though. We'll see the white flag this time by.
So one thing about Schneider is he doesn't have much seat time this year, which means every lap he's going to continue to get faster, and he's showing that now as we're about to start lap 12, or I guess starting lap 13 now.
Futrell starting to stamp his authority on this race as he sees the white flag wave overhead, passing under the starter's gantry. That lead has started to balloon slightly. Wisniewski fighting on gamely, but he's dropped to nearly 2 seconds behind the race leader. Michigan native Wisniewski, a runner-up in this class last year, had a big month of May at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course where he won a couple of races and set a track record in the Hoosier Super Tour stop earlier this year. And he's one of a handful of drivers that came into this weekend eligible for the much-coveted Super Sweep if he were able to win this race. But he has to overcome a 2-second deficit to Futrell if he's going to get it done.
Futrell just reached that fastest lap on that previous lap going into the final of the race. So, and right now he's on a pretty good final lap, but this is the battle though. This Schneider, Jenner John. Jenner John's as close as he's been. We'll see if he can get a move here through this lower corners.
To your point about Schneider just getting more and more comfortable, his last lap was his best lap, and it was within a tenth or two of the top two. But Jenner John's not letting him get away. This is not done yet.
Schneider running faster than he did in qualifying, another indicator that he's still just getting more and more comfortable every passing by.
A finish in third would match a career best at the runoffs. For Schneider, he has that position right now. Jenner John, though, stalking him down the hurry downs and now into the carousel. Building momentum for what could prove to be a decisive run into Canada Corner. One more time through the kink. Both cars cleanly through. Schneider, blue and orange machine. Jenner John, who lost that position last lap, giving chase, but he's too far back to make a lunge this time. As long as Schneider is neat and tidy, he should have the spot, but he slipped wide. That might open the door. We'll check in on the fight in a moment, but first, to the front of the field where Franklin Futrell, 3 times over a champion in SRF, will add an FE2 title to go with it. The fist in the air as the checkered flag waves for Franklin Futrell, 2025 FE2 national champion. Wisniewski through in second. Schneider being hounded, but at the stripe, he's got enough. He'll hang on for the final podium spot and match a career best with a third-place result. A thumbs up from Adam Jenner John. Great sportsmanship as those two squabble over the final podium spot.
Oh, that was a great fight between them.
Whitney Strickland, a bit of a lonely race, it must be said, but he does notch a top 5 result. Whitston recovers to 6th after early race misfortune. And now we wait on Harrington and Buffamonte. There is Harrington, put on a show for us with some great wheel-to-wheel action. And Buffamonte, what might have been if not for that contact on the on the restart following the safety car.
Yeah, just and the fact that it's holding up is great, and it didn't seem to affect him that much, but I still wonder maybe a couple of corners just weren't perfect for him. He had such otherwise good pace.
Yep, we saw that in the early stages, didn't we? But dropped off the pace with that damage. There's the thumbs up and a wave to the corner workers, to whom we say, whoa, hearty thanks as well.
Those are the teammates trying to wave to each other. I don't know that Franklin ever saw Paul on the outsides. He's just trying to get up there and wave.
Yeah, that was maybe a little too close for comfort. Don't want to see any damage after such a good race, but love to see all these fierce competitors as hot as the competition is on the track. Great respect, the clapping, the thumbs up. I mean, this is what this class and what SCCA racing is all about.
It really is. There's a lot of respect and camaraderie through the whole paddock, and you can see it in these kind of moments. You know, these aren't, for the most part, these aren't pro racers who do this every single weekend. Everybody's got a budget. They got a family to go home to. They got other jobs come Monday morning. So this is their moment of excitement, and they love sharing it with their competitors and their crew and everyone else around the paddock.
A look at the way they crossed the line. It is Futrell, your national champion. Over Wisniewski by 2.5 seconds. Schneider third. Jenner John in fourth. Whitney Strickland, career best. First ever top 5 finish. Previous best was 7th all the way back at Sonoma 2018. It's a really strong run from Whitney. Steve Winston, Sam Harrington, John Buffamonte, top 8, and then Vanman and Opperman, each with issues, but they are credited with 9th and 10th respectively. It's been a fun weekend of open wheel racing. That was the final open wheel class this year at the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. This class, a spec class, but seems to have a pretty bright future, and with competition like that, who wouldn't want to be involved?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You get to jump into a car that is, we've seen the success in the Spec Racer Fords. The FE2s have had similar numbers at times. A little bit fewer numbers this year, but certainly not any less action and less excitement. These guys had a great race, and this is what you get. This is what you get when cars are a formula, whether it's an open wheel or a closed wheel. As long as it's something spec-ish, the racing is always close.
I believe you referred off-air to the paint scheme of this car as the Pink Holstein. Is that right?
That was what I was calling it. I don't know if that's what Frank actually mentions it as, but I'll tell you what, every time I see it, I just think we are in the right place of the country to have anything that resembles a bit of a cow spots on it. Why not? America's
Dairyland. And yes, a fitting livery to be sure. Wonder if the Pink Holstein produces the strawberry milk. What do you think?
It has to, of course.
Helmet is off, which means that our national champion is ready to talk with Hayward.
Frank's getting the hat and the medal and the neck warmer. Got to keep the neck warm for the interview. Got to keep that voice loose. It looked like the closest anybody got to you in that entire race was on the cool-off lap.
Yeah. It wasn't quite that easy, but we worked hard all week. We didn't quite unload like we wanted to. Cody, John Walco, Kevin over at Comprint Motorsports, these guys worked way harder than they should have, and it paid off. It was a real team effort.
You came into the pit lane, you take your helmet off, you immediately plugged the mic into the spot there on the helmet. Calm, cool, collective, is that how the race felt from a driving? Was it methodical, just hitting the marks?
Yeah, hitting the marks was my main thing. I knew there was going to be some ebb and flow. The guy behind me may run a better lap here and there, but I was just trying to stay consistent and let consistency try to win.
I just got in my ear from lap 5 on, you ran consecutive 2:13s every single lap in that time.
That was our goal, so we pulled it off.
Congratulations, enjoy the victory lap.
Appreciate it.
Mission accomplished for our national champion, Frank Futrell. You called it the Pink Holstein. I think this is a little catchier. I'm told it's called the Moozda.
That is good.
Yeah. Although I liked where your head was at with that one, for sure. But whatever you call it, it looks good and it's fast. Parked in victory lane. Let's hear from second and third now with Hayward.
Eric, a silver medal here at the Runoffs. How's that feel?
Feels good. There's a lot of hard work went into this weekend and this whole week, and it was just really nice to get on the podium here.
I imagine you have a few people to thank.
Yeah, I would love to thank my mom and dad who have gotten me here, Roy and Daryl at Hillenberg Motorsports for this amazing car, amazing team, Remax Commercial Group for helping fund my dreams, and yeah, it's been a heck of a year and a great way to end it.
Well, congratulations on the silver. Bronze, Paul, it's been a few years since we've been able to have this talk. Welcome back to Victory Lane.
I want to say, Daddy's back in the podium, kids. Woo! Feels good to be back.
Congratulations.
At first, we were way off the pace to start off the whole run here. To finally get back up to here feels so good. Yeah.
You can feel the energy and the excitement. Congratulations, sir.
Yes. I'd like to thank my dad, Comfort Motorsports, my family at home. Yes.
Love it. Love to see it. Medal around his neck, smile on his face. So much goes into this from the family at home to the team behind him, and then all the preparation of the drivers themselves. And the ultimate way to celebrate is a victory lap with the checkered flag waving. It is hard to come by, but Franklin Futrell has got it done in 2025.
Yeah, number 4, I'm sure not as easy as any of them. And it's all worth it in the end for the glory.
Let's look back on how this race played out. It was the Mazda out in front, pulling away at the initial start. Battles further back, including this lunge that got our attention, to say the least. Robert Vanman, very aggressive. Unfortunately, problems for the 2017 Opperman. That car did limp back to the pit lane, but it did necessitate a safety car intervention. On the ensuing restart, Futrell able to pull away. The fight was on for second place in a crucial moment, which saw some contact in that battle that effectively ruled Buffamante out of contention for the win. But despite that, plenty of battles happening throughout the track. This was a big moment too, as Steve Winston, who is as quick as anyone today, had a spin after going over the curb and maybe off track in turn 14, did recover to finish in 6th. Another heart-in-your-mouth moment there for Vanman, who was able to haul it back under control. Speaking of under control, that sums it up nicely for Franklin Futrell, who won his 4th national championship, but first in this class by 2.6 seconds over Eric Wisniewski. Exciting way to wrap up the FE2 season for the SCCA. So much to look forward to as well in the future. But for now, we say so long from America's National Park of Speed and the 62nd Annual SCCA National Championship Runoffs.
Shopping for tires used to really ruffle my feathers. That was before I went to TireRack.com. TireRack made it easy to identify the right tires. No more searching high and low, I got the best deal. TireRack has thousands of recommended installers. I chose a mobile installer. They brought the tires to my neck of the woods and put them on, right here in my driveway.
You're all done.
Thank you. When it's time for new tires, trust the experts. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Choose joy. Choose the road. Choose your people. Choose your shot. Take it. Choose to get in there. Even better, get out there. That's it. Way out there. Choose your calling. Choose to really care. Choose to go for it. Just choose. We craft cars for those who choose to do more than simply move.
I'll wake up.
Okay, so pretend this is your race car. It's on the trailer, and you have an accident. Ouch! At least your truck's insurance will pay for another one? Yeah, not so fast. Standard insurance won't replace your race car, whether it's in the trailer, in the paddock, in the garage, or the repair shop. But at Hagerty, we can protect it for what it's really worth anytime it's off the track. No matter what or where you race, offer less than a set of race tires. Hagerty, let's drive together.